We're already recording. We're on the clock, Kara.
Go, go, go. I'm just going to play with my phone. Hold on. Test. Now shake to delete.
Did it work?
Yeah!
Amazing.
What? Did you know you can shake your
And
phone?
that, folks, is how Kara found out about shake to delete on the iPhone. And with that, we'll kick off another episode of Mundaline Minute. Episode number, oh my gosh, 22. I looked it up this morning.
What are we going to do for 25?
I don't know.
Have a partay.
Well, we talked about that it was going to be right around the holidays.
Oh,
so,
yeah. Partay.
Partay, although this is episode 20, so we're going to have to like get an episode in there to have a Christmas episode be number 25 on the 25th.
On the 25th. What?
Oh,
It's like it's meant to be.
flying that day.
Well, we can record it earlier.
Somebody has to work on the Dirty Bird.
I'm sorry, what?
That's what we call it, the Dirty Bird.
God.
Alrighty then.
Who are you?
So this is Mundaline Minute, and my name is Eric Schwenk. I'm a trustee in the Village of Mundaline, and you are?
Hi, I'm Kara. I'm also a trustee in the Village of Mundaline that knows how to use an iPhone now.
That knows how to shake, well, you figured out shake to delete. So this is my house, and my cameras, no taxpayer dollars were used in the
Where's your
distribution or creation. There's one cat over here on a chair. There's another 2 cats around here somewhere. There's a bird. I'm also getting a new sewer line installed in my house. So there's people working outside. The street is torn up and being patched up. There's people doing leaves. I don't know what these microphones are going to pick up, so I apologize for all the crazy noise. But, it's life, right?
Yep.
So, Kara, there was a board meeting yesterday. Anything happen?
I don't think. Oh, we passed the financial pack. The financial
That's right,
report.
the 6-month financial report.
That was I really want to talk about that.
Okay, so
But there's other things we have to talk about.
So there's some other things we have to talk about. And here's my thought. I think we should just kind of breeze through some of this other stuff
Yes.
and then have an actual discussion.
Yeah, fine.
Good?
Yeah,
Okay.
good.
So we passed approval of minutes. Committee of the whole, trustee, regular board minutes.
Yeah,
Done.
I wasn't there.
There was 16 people that spoke in public commentary. We'll get back to that. Presentations awards, there wasn't any. None of the public hearings. In the mayor's report, there's a committee of the whole. There is no reason why, but it's about the TIF.
Yeah.
It was actually, I think it was a committee call or committee of the whole meeting call on the last board packet, and that's still there. So that's coming up for TIF discussions and kind of some education. A mayoral, I can never say it. Mayoral proclamation for Small Business Saturday, November 27th, right after Thanksgiving and when everybody likes to go spend money, which is always great. Trustee Kara Lambert.
That's me.
Yep, that's you. And Trustee Jenny Ross were appointed to the Beautification Committee.
Yes.
Yeah, get to work.
Working on that.
We're going to skip all this stuff, go on to Public Works. Let's see, 22 East Park Street. What did we do? We rejected a proposal.
Yeah, sorry. I was like, I don't know. What did we do? Rejected a proposal. Keep going.
And then we accepted a bunch of...
Do you want to talk about what that means, rejecting the proposal?
Go ahead.
Means what they presented us we didn't like.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. I thought that kind of spoke for itself.
I just
but
didn't want
hey.
people to be confused.
Okay. So improvement acceptance for Maple Hill subdivision. So this is like the right-of-way stuff, the streets, the sidewalks. There was like a fence for the water tower, items like that. The HOA took those from the developer, and now the HOA is handing those over formally to the Village of Mundaline for ongoing maintenance and everything. Yep. So that they're now ours. So that's part of the original deal with Maple Hill for the creation. Okay, Finance Committee. That's me, but I'm going to turn it over to you. 6-month financial report. Go.
Wait, why do I get to cover it? Because I'm so excited
Because you're so excited about it.
Because our revenues are up and our expenditures are flat.
Mm-hmm.
And most importantly, we're contributing more to the reserves. And I feel like the village administrator gave me a number, and I can't remember it now. It was before I went to Disney, so my brain's gone. But for the first time in years, you'll know.
Oh yeah.
But a long time, we're contributing more to the reserves than
I don't have the PDF or the printout with it.
But it's a significant amount of time.
A significant amount, and this is not including the utility tax money that will be going towards reserves,
right?
Which means we'll hit that 50% threshold faster, and then we'll be able to put more money towards the road fund even quicker.
Correct. And correct me if I'm wrong, but the whole reason you ran, one of them was to tighten up our reserves and make sure that our reserve policy was buttoned up and adhered to.
Yeah. And the other side of it was infrastructure, which is the road fund.
Which is the road fund, and getting the reserve secured so that you can fund the roads to the level they need to be funded to.
Correct.
But I just wanted to have like a celebration on that because we never celebrate the victories, right? And that's a huge victory. So
yeah. Okay,
could
so
you
then
put balloons and streamers in when you edit this so that it's a celebration here.
See what I could do.
Could I get a party hat during it?
We should have some.
No, but can't you just like edit it on?
I don't know. I've never tried that.
Try new things, man.
Try new things. All right. There's your next GIF. Try new things, man.
Try. Where's Nikki? Try new things.
So next up was the governing body bill approval, and this one was very large. 3 million.
Oh, that's a big number.
Yeah, $3,660,923.42. And I want you to know I don't practice these before the meeting, and I always think of you trying to say a number when I'm saying it.
I get
and I'm
so nervous.
I'm trying not to be nervous because I know I'm going to screw it up one day. And
$56 million.
$56 million for whatever, I don't know. So this one was 3.6 million, almost 3.7 million. And the largest part of that was about $2.5 million to pay down debt service bonds and principal and interest on those bonds. And that's just an item that's budgeted for each year. We know this is coming up, and we have to pay those bills.
Ugh, paying bills is the worst.
Right? God, I know. All right. So next up, Public Safety Committee, Building Committee. There was nothing in for either of those. Transportation and Infrastructure. There was a change order for some extra work for base failure repairs.
For roads.
For a road.
Basically.
Yeah, $28,000 there. Nothing under other reports. In scheduled business, the omnibus vote, there was the Archer Business Center's space assessment proposal. So we're going to have a third party take a look at some space that's in the ABC and the Archer Business Center and
figure out optimal uses.
Yeah, some optimal use and possibly for the use by the village. There was nothing with the village administrator, attorney, clerk, and that was the end of the meeting. And we'll see you in the next episode. Nothing else to talk about, right?
That's it. Just kidding.
Just kidding. Okay, so now that we rushed through that, let's talk about Thornton's. And so Thornton's came this time around in front of the board. And
the first time that it's formally been in front of the village board.
Correct. And they are asking for 3 variances. And we did a whole video on this about the Plata survey. And we talked about, that the gas station is allowed by right. And that they
zoned for that.
It's zoned for it. That they don't have to ask the permission of the board to build.
They could have pulled building permits yesterday.
Correct. Yeah, it's allowed. They're the property owners, and they can build that by right. So,
and I feel like this may be part of a. Whoa, excuse me. I position myself because I was falling out of this chair. I don't know how that happens.
It's a couch. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm talented. I feel like this needs to have a broader conversation of government interfacing with businesses and how it works. We don't decide who goes where.
Right.
The government does not decide that, and that's a whole philosophical conversation on how you lead politically, what the government's role is in the private sector, but the government does not decide what businesses come to town and where they go.
Correct.
I don't get to pick a national chain or a small business or whatever and say, you need to build in Mundelein.
Correct.
Private sector determines that, and I just want that perfectly clear because, there's been a lot of voices that say, well, why would the village pick a gas station to go there?
Or why a gas station across the street from another gas station?
Right. We don't pick businesses.
Correct. They come to us. Now
things are zoned, but this zoning has been in place for many years.
And I will say, though, that the staff does go out and try to court businesses. But in this instance, it wasn't that. Not at all. Nobody went out to ask GMX Thornton's to come and build this or anything in the village.
In fact, when the village got involved, there was already a draft real estate agreement in place. I think, if I'm remembering the timeline right.
I think there was. I think that they had the land under contract before they came and spoke to us. And of course, I can't say I ever read the contract, but I'm sure that there's some
Oh, for sure,
language
there's an
that
out
gave
clause. I mean,
was an out based on variances that were needed or whatnot. But yeah, they did their due diligence to get the land under contract before they even started this process.
right.
So
So
moving on to
there's
last
my
night,
disclaimer.
we had 16 people speak during public commentary. One was the developer just asking whether we wanted a full presentation or not. So 15 people spoke, all in opposition to it. That said, we as trustees received a number of emails supporting it. Not
We
as
did.
many.
Not as many, but there was two that stood out to me. The three that stood out to me in particular. One was a landowner of an adjacent property that expressed their support of it because he felt that any commercial development would enhance his property, making it easier for him to develop his land. Valid point. Two was a business owner nearby that was in support of it because, again, he thought more commercial retail would lead to more foot traffic into his business. Three was a resident in Holcomb that wanted to remain anonymous because he was nervous what his neighbors would say, which makes me sad because everyone should have the right to their opinion, right? But his point was that he wanted to be able to send his kids on a bike ride to go pick up a gallon of milk.
Sure.
Which, I mean, I grew up in the city, so obviously very different, but my mom used to send me on my bike to go to White Hen, I'm old, to pick up a gallon of milk. Like that's a real thing. So
Yeah.
those three really stood out to me. We received numerous ones that broke down every single point, over and over about why it should be supported, but those three really stood out to me. So
Yeah.
but that we weren't talking about whether we were allowing a gas station there last night, and there was a portion of the planning and zoning meeting packet that I was going to pull up where they talked about a speedway in Columbus.
I think it was Columbus, Ohio, because I ask about
You
this
brought
last
it up
night.
too.
I asked. Okay, so one of the variances
Columbus, yeah.
is about building to the lot line, and where this property is in Mundelein and zoned as the C5C. It's the city center basically corridor, the downtown corridor. It's required that you build your building on the lot line or within 10 feet on the front side and 5 feet on the side yard.
Why is that?
It's just to create a downtown look.
Urban feel.
An urban feel,
Yeah.
correct. In a more walkable community.
Yep.
So we asked, what would a gas station look like if it was built this way? And I was kind of afraid of the answer, and I got that answer.
Yeah.
It doesn't make for the traditional gas station look. And the developer pointed out that there's a couple in Columbus, Ohio, and that the one there
is the worst performing gas station in the country.
Right. For that chain.
Right. So why do we care about it not performing well? Well, the reason that I care is because their performance impacts how much sales tax revenue they generate, right?
Right.
But not only that, you pointed this out, that if it was flipped on its side or flipped completely, I guess, 180?
Yeah, so really right now the C-store, the convenience store that would be on the property line, they're asking for a variance to set that back towards the back property line.
Near the railroad tracks.
Near the railroad tracks, and put the gas pumps in front.
Near
if
45.
we flipped that and we forced them by saying no to build that convenience store on the property line up towards the front, and they move those gas pumps to the back, now they're closer to the homes that are in the back of that subdivision, or back towards Holcomb, and there's no buffer where the building is a buffer today. Mm-hmm. We would be putting the canopy with the pumps, the lights, the running cars, all of that closer to the homes.
And the vents for the tanks, which is what the concern is environmentally.
Correct.
Is where the tanks are vented.
And currently, they're going to put those vents, and Trustee Wilson even got up to clarify, pointing at the screen, mm-hmm. to double check where those vents are going, and they're as far away from the homes as they could be in this current proposal.
Yeah.
And that's where I decided to vote yes on this. And I was torn. I even said it during the meeting, because I like the look of the downtown area and the zero lot line and right. the close build, and I'm intrigued as to what a gas station would look like.
Backwards.
And in my mind thinking, okay, developers,
figure it out.
Make it look like something that can be usable, right. yet attractive. and make it happen. That's
But
your job.
there's a caveat there: usable and attractive,
Right.
right? So if you didn't, and I voted no on these variances, we'll go into that in a second. But the reason that is important is because we could have denied all of their variances, and they could have put up a building that looked terrible and was poorly functioned. And guess what? They'd probably survive, but we would be stuck with an eyesore.
Correct.
Like that was my fear, is that the end goal of this was you deny the variances, they build only, and you get a yucky product.
Right.
What did we do? What did we achieve?
Right.
Nothing. So whatever. Then we went into an oration about, I love that word, oration.
Oration is a good word.
About 24/7, and this is where like my spidey sense started to tingle, and I wasn't prepared for this conversation because
none of us really were, because it wasn't something that we were planning to talk about.
And we were told when we went to a newly elected officials training to never make your mind up on an issue before the board room, and I really have like taken that to heart. Like you can have preconceived notions, but your mind shouldn't be made up until you hear all sides of the argument. And
15 people in public commentary is a good opportunity to hear that.
But somebody brought up the 24/7 and how
right.
other gas stations in the area aren't 24/7, but to your point, they are allowed to be by code.
Correct.
So they just choose not to use them. But I felt like to be a good partner, that a compromise would be to not have them operate 24/7. Thornton said that was a must. Well, then I felt like they weren't willing to compromise, so I was going to vote no on the variances. So there was neither compromise on either side. Like, two wrongs definitely didn't make a right. But to me, that was an important principle that, like, at least they could have had the conversation, but they didn't. So that's why I voted no on them. But I voted yes on the fence because
being a good neighbor.
Being a good neighbor. And that's, like, the goal, is, like, trying to get Thorntons to be a good neighbor to the residents that they're affecting.
Sure. Okay, so
it was a heavy conversation last night,
was a very heavy one.
And none of these decisions are like made lightly. I think Trustee Russell made a point that all of us lose sleep at night over this. All of us anguish and read all we possibly can, and don't make these decisions lightly. I mean, like, my husband knows that on board meeting nights that I come home and I don't sleep.
Frazzled.
Yeah, I'm all frazzled. I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated. I'm like rushed and feel like, wound up.
Sure.
Because no one wins. This is like a no-win situation.
This one for sure.
No-win situation.
Yeah.
No one thought that a gas station is the ideal use of this property.
I said it last night. It's not my ideal use at all.
No one. Oh, my stomach just growled.
Microphone probably got
Probably. I've been busy today. No one looks at that plot of land as like, gas station, sweet. No one's excited about it, right? But private businesses prevail. So Trustee Ross brought up another good point, is that this land is very awkwardly shaped. It's shaped like
it's a pie.
A pie.
Yeah.
And it gets real skinny at the tip. And another use for this is like fast food and like.
And that was brought up in the context of noise.
Yeah.
And
you're gonna have a speaker. You're gonna have cars idling. You're gonna have lights. You're gonna have all of the things that Thornton's has.
Correct. Minus the speaker boxes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Right. And it goes along with one of the emails for it that we received this morning, where
what else goes there?
What else goes there? The person said, it's a state highway, and on one direction and a county highway on the other.
Yeah.
And that this is a great location for a gas station. So, we hear all of these as we try to make this decision.
The one thing that I don't think that anybody brought up to us that kept replaying in my mind is everyone talked about how Mundelein has more gas stations per capita than anywhere else. Mm-hmm. I feel like we're neglecting the point that Mundelein is the center of the county.
Not only is it the center of the county, but also that gas tax or gas income is something that we can collect from non-residents.
Correct. So we're the center of the county, and this number is not going to be applicable to this corner necessarily, but we had heard from a developer that the 60 and 45 corridor sees 60,000 cars a day. Mm-hmm. So this corner may be not as busy, but even a fraction of 60,000 cars is a considerable number of cars that drive through this intersection.
And when we were sitting down with the developers, they told us that their customer is the customer going on 176.
Correct.
And that the number of gas stations on that side of the road between, was it 90, 94, and Wakanda?
Oh yeah,
That there's one.
We've talked about this.
Yeah.
Going either direction, there's not a lot
There's
between
not a lot.
90, 94 and Wakanda on 176. So I
Well,
know.
I guess there's the one on Maple.
Right.
You're Midlothian there.
Right.
But yeah, there's not a lot of options, and that was one of the things that led them to this location.
Right. And so although per capita it might be a lot, you're not just looking at the population of Mundelein in this case. You're looking at the cars that drive through here being the center of Lake County. Besides the number of people that live, you have to look broader than the per capita. You have to look at the number of cars that come through. And then the other point that was brought up was like the increased traffic.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever go out of your way to go to a gas station?
No, nor do I cross traffic.
No.
Right.
So increasing of traffic is a weak argument because people aren't going to go out of their way to drive here. You're going to capture the business that is like, oh, I need gas. Let me pull in.
Sure. Okay, so I want to go back to the motion itself was for the setbacks. That was the first one. Mm-hmm. And there was 3 caveats that came out of planning and zoning. One was for no large format fueling for diesels. The second was no video gaming or gambling. And third was that the developer would work with the neighbors in the village to figure out a fence and what that would look like, whether it's going to be a solid fence or a living fence, a barrier of some kind that's not, the major concern initially was that a hard fence would reverberate train noise and make things louder.
Right. Then we added burial.
Burial of the
overhead power lines, which aesthetically enhances that corner so much.
And even when that got brought up last night, I was on Google Maps and I was like looking at Street View going, oh yeah, okay, this is going to come down, and I'm trying to, yes, I've been through that intersection hundreds of times, but
I hope you're paying attention to driving.
I am.
Not the power lines.
Not the power lines, right. But you just get used to seeing something, so I had to go back and actually look at what it looked like today.
Yeah. And we have seen renderings of this corner of what Thornton's will look like. And I'm going to get roasted for saying this. It almost looks better because you have a functioning business and then the power lines are gone. And it almost aesthetically looks better.
The building behind it, the Hoffman building.
You ever been back there?
No, you told me about it and I won't go now.
So when this all came up, I pulled my car over, walked back there, and I was like, gah. It is a abandoned factory. It is not a nice place. Right. It is not warm and welcoming, and yeah, it's not. If you're gonna bury a body, that would have been a good place to do it.
That's a thought.
I mean, that was my thought, was like, oh my God, I hope someone knows I'm back here, because if I go missing.
I'm pretty sure that's exactly what you texted me too.
Yeah. I texted the police chief that, and I was like, if I go missing, I'm behind the Hoffman building. Because it's the train tracks are on one side, and then the building is on the other, so there's no visibility.
Right.
It's just not a. No.
So that passed.
Yeah.
5-1.
Me.
You were the lone.
I'm the worst.
Okay, no. You just had a different view.
The 24/7 thing really got to me. It just showed that they weren't going to negotiate with their neighbors, and I felt that wasn't like in good faith. So
sure.
Whatever.
And then next up was, I forget.
Fence.
It was fence. The fence was the next one, and then lighting.
Passed unanimously.
And it did pass unanimously, and then third was the lighting.
And I voted no on that too.
You voted no on that.
Because I knew that they couldn't open without that.
Correct.
But we had this lighting expert come in.
And
holy guacamole.
I found it interesting that we got free advice, if you will, from the expert.
Seriously.
And he was giving the village ideas on how to change the lighting code to be better and to be more clear, and telling us that we needed to actually take different metrics into consideration when considering lighting in the future. Not just foot candle.
Yeah.
Which is only going to count, at grade level on the ground directly under the light.
Right.
But he said there's so much more that goes into it, especially at a gas station where you have all these metal pumps that are going to reflect all of that light, and what that looks like and how bright that is, because as he said, everything reflects light.
That was an interesting conversation, but I really thought when they pulled up the renderings of what it looked like, lighting wise, it was really informative, right?
It was informative.
You're not looking at white spotlights off the roof of this place.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah. And I was sitting there thinking about, and I agree with the Planning and Zoning Commission's finding of fact, that the code created the hardship, that, being involved in this for a couple of months and finding out that they couldn't open without more,
right?
So we zoned it for that, but then made it so impossible. And I was concerned that at that point, this turns into a more expensive lawsuit for the village, because we're prohibiting an allowed use of that land.
Permittable use, yeah.
Right.
Exactly. Yep.
And after seeing the presentation from the lighting expert,
that was so informative.
Yeah, they wanted 40. They're able to do it at 25 foot candles, where our code is 10. Yet the gas station that's operating across the street is well over 100. So they're operating at a fourth,
right?
and able to make it work so that at the property line there will be less light than that on a full moon.
Right.
And that kind of blows my mind. And obviously lighting has come a long way in the past few years, and that these canopy lights can now do that, where the old ones have not been.
Right. Just shine wherever.
They just
shine.
Yeah,
they're just lights.
They're huge.
They're just lights.
Right.
Yeah, that was telling.
And I saw that as being in good faith.
Correct. So that passed.
So
now what happens, Trustee Schwank?
Well, we don't know. And that's just it. Yes, we gave the variances. The next step would be now for GMX Thornton's to request building permits. And while that's in process, there's also another petition that will come back. It was before Planning and Zoning, but it'll come back to Planning and Zoning in December to create a buffer space between
residential and gas stations.
And so Planning and Zoning is entertaining this. They will have a full hearing and give it its
due process.
Due process, yeah.
Yep.
And it'll come before the board, and we'll take a look at it then. Now, if that does pass, then it kind of depends on what the time frame is here. If it goes through and gets fully passed by the board before GMX requests building permits, then GMX could be liable to this current standard, this new standard. They could. I'm not a lawyer.
I'm not a land use attorney.
Yeah, right.
I don't pretend to be.
I didn't sleep at a Holiday Inn Express last night either.
No.
So that's just an interpretation of it. Please do not quote me on that.
Boy.
Right?
Oh boy.
Oh boy is right.
Oh, here goes court. Trustee Schwenk said on his podcast. Good.
As I say at work, I'm just a flight attendant.
That's true.
So
this isn't over.
It's up in the air now. More than likely.
And your flight attendant. Jesus.
Okay. So side note: when people ask me if I like my job, do you know what my answer is?
It's up in the air.
It has its ups and downs.
Oh boy,
it's like a dad joke.
Russ, you're gonna love that joke, aren't you? Yep.
Of
course.
What I expect to happen is that the Planning and Zoning Commission will pass this onto the board, that it'll more than likely pass the board is my gut on it. I haven't read through all of that because it hasn't been through Planning and Zoning. There's not minutes, there's none of that yet to even consider. But before that happens, I expect Thornton's will start their process and pull their building permits. So this will affect.
It's BP. Like, let's be honest, they're not dumb.
Sure, and
they're savvy. They're not like, it's not like you're dealing with.
Correct.
You're dealing with a multinational corporation. They know what they're doing.
Correct.
So take it for what it's worth.
Yeah. This was a heavy one.
It was heavy. No one wants their legacy to be a gas station.
No.
I don't want my son to be like, yeah, my mom got that built.
Right.
Great.
That's not what I.
No, it's not why you ran for office, right?
No, and I had a weird thought while going through some of this over the weekend. was, if this is a hard decision to make as a trustee in the Village of Mundelein, imagine what it feels like to be the president of the United States.
Gross.
Where nothing that's this simple would ever come across their desk.
No, but
and
big decisions don't get made lightly either.
Right.
Nothing gets made lightly. I think
every level of government, the decisions get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yep.
And yet this feels extremely heavy because it's affecting your neighbors.
Yeah.
Literally your neighbors.
You have to go to the grocery store and...
Yeah. We'll see these people at events and,
My neighbor, actually, and he was like, why would you guys do this? And I was like...
Okay.
Here we go, and you have to address the conversation of like, well, it's not you guys doing this. Like, let's rephrase this in general. It's a permitted use. A private company wants to build. Government doesn't have a whole lot of say. Like, you have to reframe the conversation because it's not as simple as like you guys doing this, so.
Right.
Yeah. Do you got anything else?
No, I really don't have anything else to add to this.
Hey, how about that financial report, though?
But that financial report was amazing. Thanks for bringing it back to a good note.
I try, man. Just try. So.
Yeah.
All right.
So that is it for episode number 22.
Thanksgiving is this weekend.
Thanksgiving is in
tomorrow.
Like 2 days.
No, 2 days, yeah.
Yep.
Where am I? What day is it? Today's Tuesday.
Today's Tuesday.
Yep.
And what else we got going on? The tree lighting ceremony.
Yes, next Friday. Probably
Friday.
one of my favorite events. I feel like I say that about everything.
Yeah, but it's still community days. That's where it's at.
So, okay, here's why I like the tree lighting.
Go ahead.
I have little kids who during the summer don't stay up late enough to see fireworks. What do they get to see?
This one's early because it's dark early.
Because it's winter. Fireworks.
Yeah.
We just got back from Disney, though, and so fireworks at Mundelein are not going to compare to Disney fireworks.
Yeah.
So, but still, I'm excited to gather again to do this.
Yep.
Happy. Tree lighting, Small Business Saturday.
Yep.
Just make sure you shop local that day.
Please, every day, shop local.
What else do we have? That's it. What else you got? Anything else?
No.
Cool. Have a good Thanksgiving.
You too.
Eat some turkey.
You all as well.
You too. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
Or less.
Or...
Because we need to get another episode in there if we want to try to hit 25 on 25.
What are we going to talk about? Just random topic?
Well, maybe some people will give us some topics.
Oh my God. Email us viewers' choice topics.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Got it, Mom.
Thanks, Russ. And my mom. And who else watches this?
Hopefully your wife.
Trustee Wilson. Thanks for watching.
Oh, he does?
Yeah. Village staff. Thanks for watching.
My stomach is still growling. Can we be done? I'm really hungry.
Yeah.
Have a good week.
All right.